Hey, what's going on? You are listening to the Brown Girl Self Care Podcast, and my name is Bree. I'm the host of the show as well as the founder of Brown Girl Self Care. Brown Girl Self Care is a platform and space of intentional healing, joy, and rest and abundance for Black women. So I'm recording this again on YouTube Live. I have really started to get I'm really starting to get more comfortable going on YouTube Live. And it's funny because when I record these, at least the ones that I've done so far, which have only been like, this might be like the third or fourth one. Nobody's on the live when I am talking. Nobody is on the live when I am recording. But actually, I'm okay with that because I've said this before. Like one of the things that I feel like I am being led to do in this season is to show up more and be more visible. But in order for me to do that, I have to first of all have courage, but second of all, just have a little more feel more comfortable. So yeah, maybe that's a blessing in disguise. But in any case, let's go ahead and just get right on into today's episode or topic, which is it's kind of like me just uh, uh, I don't want to say venting, but just something that's been on top of mind for a minute. And maybe this is you too. Now that I have entered this season of 50 or decade of 50, we've talked about money on the Brown Girl Self Care podcast before. You know my struggles. You know I'm in debt. You know all that. And I know some of you are thinking, like, this girl is freaking delusional, right? This girl is delusional, but I'm not. It's just that I'm not like a money motivated person. So that is why this episode I'm talking about, and I want to know if anybody else out there is like that or like this. I, in this season, need goals or like a purpose, something that I can move towards that have absolutely nothing to do with money, period. Yes, money makes the world go round. I believe that I deserve it. I believe that deserve to live abundantly, and so do you. But I have never been a hustle, no matter what kind of chick. Like I have just never been that. And we've talked about that, and we don't need to go back into that right now. But right now, and I did some journaling around this and some reflecting and some thinking, I really need some things that I can get grounded in or rooted in that allow me to feel a sense of purpose. And yes, I do the podcast. Yes, I run Brown Girl Self Care, but that's not enough. That's not enough for me. I, especially since I've been doing this now, how long have we been in community with each other? Some of you have been with me since the beginning. I've been doing the Brown Girl Self Care podcast. We're over 300 episodes in. Okay. Go and check the receipts if you must. Been doing this for over 4, 5, 6 years, probably. Okay. Um, and I'm ready for more. I still am rooted in what I'm building here, but I need something because this is still well, it's leaning towards a business, but this is this is partly tied to a business. Okay, I started the podcast for me, but it is tied to a business, if you will. And so I needed something that I could ground myself in that had nothing to do with business. Okay, because when I think about business, I think about grind culture, hustle, blood, sweat, and tears, sleepless nights or whatever, and that's not the type of business that I ever want to build. So I need things that can take the pressure off, especially when the business is not businessing or the money ain't moneying or things are not happening the way that I want them to. uh you know it leads me to think like, what other things can I do to feel grounded, to feel rooted, to tap into me, versus tapping into like the business side of things. And so, here's a few things that I thought of, and your mileage may vary, but I really want us to get to a place where, again, outside of the money, we know that money, this is just the system or society we live in. Money is important, but I believe that other things are important, if not more important, as well. And some of those things we're going to talk about now. But you know, the first thing that I would say for me is I wonder if I can put these into three buckets, if that even makes sense. So if I had to put these three things into buckets, because I know that my things are not going to be your things. If I had to put these three things into buckets, I would probably say body, hobby, and Identity? Maybe that might be a bit of a stretch, but if I had to put these 3 things into buckets, that's what I would say because again, my things are not necessarily gonna be your things, but if you think about it as a bucket, maybe you can think of some things that you could tap into that makes sense for you. So if I had to put them into the buckets, I would say that body, identity, and like a hobby or something for the brain, you know? So the first thing was simple. The first thing that came about is for body. Again, your girl is in her 50s now, okay? Yes, your girl is in her 50s. And though I may not look necessarily like I'm in my 50s, the body detector determined that that is a whole ass lie. Like you are no longer in your 30s or your 40s, sis. You are in your 50s, okay? So you better come correct because my body is just like, bruh. Let me tell you what happened recently. I don't know why I keep doing this. I think there's still a part of me that feels like I should just be able to do these things because I could do them when I was younger. But I can't. So, if you don't know, just to give you a really quick little tiny slice of backstory, I moved to Arkansas because I'm going to be living on 3 acres of land in community with a sister friend. Her name is Yolanda, and we're going to be doing simpler living in community. She's a Black woman, by the way, and she's a single mom, and I'm a single mom as well, even though my daughter's in her 20s. She's an adult. But we're going to be living in community with each other. We're going to be doing programs for Black women. We're going to be growing food. We're going to be, all that stuff, living in RVs, that kind of jam. Okay. All right. So now that I've said that, this land, there's freaking comments. Hey, I've never gotten a comment while I've been on a live. So this popped up and I was like, what the hell is that? Hey, Dorita, I'm so glad that you're here. Um, so what was I saying? I'm going to be living on land with Yolanda, and we're right now getting the land ready. And if you've ever dealt with raw land, you know it is that raw land. There's trees everywhere, brambles. There could be from the previous people that lived there, glass bottles and trash and weeds. And, you have to prepare the land. You have to get the soil ready to be inhabitable, to grow food, to stick your RV on. You got to pull the water in from the nearest water source. You've got to get the electrician to come out, the electrical company to put in the wires, and you got to, all that stuff. So that is where we are right now. And more to come on that because we're going to be doing some crowdfunding and stuff like that to get help to get these RVs and get some of these programs off the ground, y'all. All right. So more to come on that. You were wondering why I moved here. I moved to Arkansas. I don't know if you were on when I answered this, Dorita, but it's because I want to, for a variety of reasons. I'm trying to get out of debt. I have an IRS debt bill that's probably, as of now, maybe like $9,000 or $10,000, credit card debt, other kind of stuff. Um, and also, I don't have a lot of family. I'm no contact with my main parent. So I want to be in community with other Black women. So that kind of stuff. And so this land is not inhabitable yet, but we're making progress. All of that to say, my 50-year-old ass. Oh my God. I don't even know why I keep doing this because I have done this over and over again. We went out there to the land a few days ago. And so there was all these rocks and stuff, right? And we had to move all these little rocks over to the pond because we're going to be making paths with rocks and, just different stuff like that. So I had to shovel rocks into this wagon and then pull all these rocks over to the pond, which is probably like, I don't know how close it is, but it was definitely some steps, some steps away. Okay. And I did this over and over and over again. And I felt good while I was doing it. That's the thing. I felt amazing while I was doing it. It feels the labor that, and maybe this is just me, the labor that you do when you're in an office or where you're making money for someone else versus the labor that you do that is rooted in something that you care about, rooted in something that can make an actual difference either in your life or for your community or whatever, it just hits differently. An 8-hour shift in a 9 to 5 on the job can drag on for hours versus an 8 hour on when you're doing something. It doesn't have to be working the land, but when you're doing something that you actually care about, the time, like you're just in flow. You're just present and you're in the moment and you're just flowing and you're vibing. I know I can't be the only one that feels that way. Anyway, so I'm shoveling, like literally shoveling. I ain't picked up a shovel since Hector was a pup. Literally shoveling these rocks, this dirt into the wagon, okay? Into the wagon, and then pulling this wagon across the land to dump it next to the pond. I did this several times, plus some other labor stuff, right? Felt felt amazing. I took my shoes off, I grounded, okay? If you have not had the opportunity to get your body, your feet, your hands, something into some sand at the beach, into some safe, you know, dirt that isn't all pesticided and whatever, like not just something safe. Get your hands in some soil, get your feet in some dirt, some rocks, some grass, something grass, and get grounded as often as possible. Maybe that's something I'll talk about later or another episode. But I had an opportunity to do that for the first time in a long time. And even though it was just a few minutes, it felt amazing. Anyway, I felt I was riding a high. I had moved my body and all that. Honey, let me tell you something. That the person that was shoveling those rocks, the next day I was no longer her. I was no longer her. I was no longer that person. The person that woke up was the 50-year-old version of me the next day. And I still feel it. We went out there maybe like Wednesday, I think it was. Today is Sunday. I felt it. I still feel it all here. I could barely move my neck. Like everything just felt sore. Like I said, that person that was out there shoveling must have been like the 30-year-old Bree. But the 50-year-old Bree woke up the next morning, and I have been living in the 50-year-old Bree's body for the last few days. All right. And I have done this over and over again. And that leads me to my first bucket or goal that I want to focus on, which again was body, is I want to get my body stronger. I want to get my body stronger. Clearly, my back muscles are not strong. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the shoveling, like my arm muscles are not strong. I haven't picked up a baby. Again, my daughter's an adult. Moms that have babies right now or toddlers, you have those mom arms, those mom muscles. I don't have that anymore because my daughter's in her 20s. So I don't have the mom muscles. I don't have the mom back, the mom arms anymore. I can't pick up 30 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I don't have that anymore that I'm doing that. So I have forgotten. It's like it's so easy to forget what your body needs. You know what I'm saying? Until you are needing to do a certain thing. Like, for example, when I used to go to Disneyland, because we had passes and we used to go to Disneyland all the time. Um, so we would take a couple of years off and then get the magic keys, the passes, so we can go over as often as we wanted. And those first few trips, at Disneyland, you're walking 4, 5, 6, 7 miles a day at Disneyland. So the first few times we would go after having a long hiatus, the next day I would have a headache, my body would be sore, like all those things, right? So I have to remember I got to keep my body strong. And the older you get, you're losing more muscle. It's easier to put on weight. Like I have gained weight and things like that. So I know that I really want to make it a specific goal going forward to take better care of my body, which I have been doing, but in the form of actually working out more, specifically doing like weight training to target my muscles and my strength, my core strength, my muscle strength, like all of that. Because doing this land work, it's going to require this 50-year-old body to do some things I've not had to do in a very long time. Can I do them? Absolutely. I'm not saying that being in your 50s or even 60s or 70s is like too old or whatever, but I have to build up to that. I have to strengthen my body. So that's the first thing. I feel like that is something that I can focus on, and it can be a purpose for me that is not money related. Okay, that it really just centers my well-being. All right. So getting my body stronger, that's number one. The second thing that I have, what bucket did I say this fit into? Identity, I guess. I think that's what I said. I don't know what bucket this necessarily fits into, but I'm going to just go with identity. The second thing I want to focus on in this, at least right now, and I mentioned this before on one of my other lives, I think, is that I want to, how can I say this in a way that makes sense? In my 50s, I want to be a more elevated, classier version of myself. Not saying that who I am or what I am right now is bad or wrong. That's not it at all. But I want to be a more refined, grown, adult, classy, classic version of myself. I do. Um, and it's so not funny, ironic, I guess I would say. I don't know if you know this, but I'm sure you do. So many people we are losing this year, but of course, yesterday we lost Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton. She was someone who I used to I've watched a lot of her movies, First Wives Clubs, what was it called? Not Boss Mom. I forget. Just other movies that she's done. And Diane Keaton, she would always be dressed. She would always be dressed. She just had this quirky, classic style to her. And I'm not saying that I want to dress like her, but she was always someone that when I would see her, I'd be like, oh, I love that look, or I like how she's always so polished, or whatever. And there's many people, other people out there, but she just came to mind because she just passed away. But I had been saying this for a while. Like, I want to step into this more elevated version of myself. So that's another goal that I have. And so right now, currently, since my funds are not funding, okay, my funds are not funding right now, I have to think about, well, what kind of things would elevated me do, like style wise, like what's in my control right now. So it's things like keeping my nails polished. Y'all get into this nail polish. I know it's kind of hard to see, but isn't that pretty? So trying to keep my nails polished in styles that complement me. I cannot and will not try to, like, what is it like, how like trending colors, trending clothes, things like that. I'm not necessarily someone who's a trendy kind of chick. I want to wear things that align with my skin tone while also being classic. I'm not a trendy kind of chick. So from the nail polish to the colors I wear, especially once I start having enough income to where I can start to buy the things that I want and need, which may be a minute. So that's why you might see me wearing like the same things over and over, is because I'm not taking any money really to buy clothes and stuff. So I have to I'm wearing literally like the same things that I brought over from California, and I'm just trying to get things as I can, right? Um but the nail polish, I'm in control of that. As you can see, my hair, I am not officially sure I'm gonna do this, but I'm pretty positive I might, because the elevated version of me, she has her hair routine, or like her hair game on lock in a style that complements her. Okay. And so as you can see, if you're watching this video right now, I have my hair in these are twists. I have my hair in twists. They're not locks, but they're twists. And I just did these maybe like 2 weeks ago. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to allow these to lock because, I've been natural. First of all, I've been natural for at least 15 years, maybe almost 20. Let's just say 15, but it's been more than 15 years. But I've been natural for over 15 years. And you know, I knew that I was not about the perm life. I used to get perms. I just knew that I just didn't want to do that anymore for a variety of reasons. That just even though my hair was banging, okay, I used to have a bob or just different styles. The bob will be bobbing, okay, don't get it twisted. The bob will be bobbing, or at one point my hair was actually below bra strap, because I don't have a problem growing hair. I've always had like hair, long hair, thicker hair, whatever. But I didn't. I knew that I didn't want to enter my 50s and 60s with a relaxer. I just knew that for a very long time, because I would always, or not always, but a lot of times I would see older women who had relaxers when they were younger, like in their 30s, 40s, like consistently 30s, 40s, 50s. And then when they were like in their 50s or 60s or whatever, the hair sometimes like it would just either be damaged, or bald spots or thinning spots. And sometimes that can't be helped, because we know that with like hormones and menopause and perimenopause and just changes in the body, though, like the thinning and stuff like that can naturally definitely occur. But I think that when you take the natural things that happens to our bodies when we get older, and then you add like chemicals, or you throw chemicals into it as well, with the relaxers, or even like the tight braids or the tight weaves, or wigs, or whatever. I think it could end up for many a bad combination down the line. So if you're right now listening to this and you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s, I want you to think about that. If you're still relaxing or wearing like whatever style it is, think about what the possible repercussions could be, with you doing this consistently over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. What you don't want to happen is you look up and now you're in your 50s or 60s, and you've got some problem areas that might have been minimized had you like practice better hair care practices now, right? And again, even if you're natural, like taking care of your hair, our crowns, our hair is our crown. No matter if it's buzzed, short, long, braided, weaved, relaxed, locked. What else is there? I don't even know. Wigged. I don't know. Whatever. However you choose to wear it. If you choose to have a fade, like whatever, taking care of your hair, your crown, like right now, will have huge benefits in the future. Okay. So if you are someone who has decided like you're not going to, for example, I'm not saying that this practice is harmful. Keep that in mind. But if you're someone who, for example, you're like, "Oh, I want to take care of my edges, so I'm not going to slick my edges down because it might be pulling, you know, and stand firm in that. Stand firm in those practices, even if you feel like you are bucking the norm. I know that the slicked edges is really big right now, but I don't do that for a few reasons. I don't, but one of them is I want to take care of my edges, because edges has always been a problem for me ever since I was a child, and I ended up getting this basket weave in like the fifth or sixth grade, and it pulled my edges out. These tight ass braids. So ever since then, I'm just doing what I can to take care of my hair. I've that's just what it is. And so I'm almost positive I'm going to let these lock up. Right now, I have about 400 twists. I'm trying to let you see the back, which is kind of hard to do, but I have about 400 twists. And I'm thinking that this is what I'm gonna do. I'm almost positive. I think that an elevated version of Brie, one who wants to be cute. Okay, I want to be cute, but I don't want to keep doing like the wash and goes. That was my go-to style. The wash and go has been my go-to style for many, many moons. Like at least a decade. I've been doing like a wash and go. Actually, yeah, maybe like 10, 15 years I've been doing a wash and go. But it's a lot. And I realized that thinking about the future health of my hair, like I'll show you something really quickly if I can find a section. So, for example, let's see. Yeah, you can see it here. So, if you look at this twist, if you're watching this on YouTube, hey girl, hey, you can see like here it's thicker, right? It's hopefully you can see that. But when you get down to here, it's thin. It's thinner. And that's because I was doing wash and go so much. I sometimes forget how dense my hair is. and how coarse it can be and coily. My hair is super coily. So I would sometimes quickly be in such a rush to get this process over with the wash and go that I would just be pulling that comb through. And certain sections of my hair are weaker than others. And so here's another one. Like you see, it's thicker here, but then it's kind of like broken off down here. You can see that. And it's because my detangling practices were not as good as they should have been, because a lot of times I would just be trying to quickly detangle, or I was detangling in sections that were too big. Again, if you have a lot of hair, if your hair is coily, if your hair is super dense, I have fine strands, but it's very dense. Um, you got to slow down. Well, everybody needs to slow down when you're detangling, but really, if that hair is like a like a lush forest, you got to slow down and take your time, baby. You got to slow down and take your time. So I was like, okay, I think that this micro lock journey, especially now, if not now, then when? Because I am again now in my 50s. I'm not sure if when I hit, for example, 65, 70, I'm going to want to be bothered with hair at all. Who knows? Maybe I will. I don't know. So now seems like the perfect time if I decide to do it. What side was this on, y'all? I don't even know. Now seems like the perfect time to go ahead and do this. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking that I'm going to. Let me read this. Dorita, you still riding with me. Good thick hair too. I've been natural this time since 2009. So let's see, 2009, almost around the time. So almost the same amount of time that I have been natural. So have you. So you understand that natural life, right? So yeah, I'm thinking if you watch this later, let me know what you think. Should I go ahead and just lock it up, or should I take these twists down and just keep putting them back in, which would be quite tedious? Or should I just make this a temporary style, make the twist bigger, like just do bigger twists and just do that? But I think I'm going to leave the wash and go alone for a while, at least through the winter, and just see what happens, with my hair. So I would be curious to hear your thoughts. So yeah, that's a third thing that I would say. This sense of purpose that I need right now, these goals that are non-money related. So what buckets did we do already, y'all? We did what the body bucket, which was building muscle, getting stronger, especially as I'm getting older, and just I'm gonna start getting into this gym. We have a gym close to where I live, so I can start getting into the gym, lifting these weights, and starting to build muscle, because I'm walking my dog every day. But the walking, as great as walking is, we need to move our bodies, but the walking is not enough for me now. The walking is great, it's helping, especially with my mood and things like that, but it's not at this stage, it's not enough. I need to go a little bit deeper. I need to go a little bit deeper. So the body, the identity, with the just doing things I can right now to tap into that elevated sense of breeze. So the hair, the nails. I want to get my teeth whitened at some point. I want to get braces again at some point, because my smile, which is beautiful by the way, but I had braces before, and these gaps have been forming like over the last maybe like 10, 15 years. So I will at some point be an adult with adult braces, probably in about, maybe I was saying like 2 years, 2, 3 years, maybe somewhere in there. Because I can feel, I don't want this to progress more than it is. But yeah, and as the money starts to come in, I can start, like, there's sweaters that I want to buy, there's pants and socks and shoes and exercise clothes and certain jewelry, minimal but still classy and refined. There's different things, even changing out the band for my Apple Watch. I haven't even been able to do that. But this to me is not like a classy vibe. It's a it's a exercise rugged vibe, but this is not the band that I want to be rocking on a day-to-day basis. So there's definitely some things that I want to do in skincare and all that, in the hair and stuff like that. Um, So that was the second thing. And then what was the third thing, y'all? I might have to go and get my journal because I can't remember what the third thing was. One was the body identity. Dorita, you've been on for a minute. Do you remember what the third thing is? I was gonna say was my goals. Let me go get my journal. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. If you have not if you're not a journaler but you want to be a journaler, I promise you it can be so life changing. It really really can. So we talked about the body thing, wanting to get stronger, more flexible. Let's see, make sure that the third thing, hobby. The third thing is hobby. So again, we're talking about three pillars of kind of like that will help you feel like you have more purpose in life that are not money related. The first one was body, the second one was identity, the third one is a hobby. A hobby. So that for me, there's so many interests that I have that I haven't been able to start yet. But you know what? One of the things that I said I wanted to do was to start crocheting. And so I bought some yarn. I bought the needles, or is that what they're called? The needles, before I moved. And then I had to get rid of all that stuff because there was literally no room in my car. We drove from California here to Arkansas in a four-door sedan. I had to let a lot of stuff go, and that really broke my heart. I had to let a lot of stuff go, um, including my crochet stuff. And so when I got out here, I was able to rebuy a few, what are they called? Skeins? I don't know, the yarn things, and like a couple of needles or whatever the heck they're called, crochet needles. And I haven't really had a chance to dive back into it, but I feel like that is something that my spirit has been calling me to do. I need to immerse myself in a hobby. I need to find a way, hobby wise, to allow myself to release the day to day, let go of the stress, all the crazy stuff happening online, find a way to stay offline more, right? And what better way to do that than to pick up some kind of hobby? So for you, it might be learning how to play piano, learning how to play guitar, learning a new language, knitting, crocheting, learning how to bake, putting on some roller skates, taking some roller skating classes, like learning how to do hair, learning how to braid. Learning how to braid, that's a skill, honey. Learning how to make candles, um, learning how to make spices or herbalism. Like there's so many, becoming a plant mom, learning how to garden. There's so many things that we can do as a hobby, that will not only benefit us, I would say mentally, but also spiritually as well. Y'all see Callie? But also spiritually as well. So yeah, I'm going to start crocheting. I keep coming back to it over and over again. I have not completed anything yet, but my goal by December of this year, I will know how to crochet. What does everyone crochet when they first learn? I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. You already know the answer. I'm gonna tell you now, when people learn how to crochet, one of the very first things they learn how to make, because it's so simple, is a freaking beanie. Okay. If not the little doily things, it's a beanie. And so for Christmas this year, I want to make people beanies. I want to make my daughter a beanie. I want to make my sister friend a beanie, maybe her daughter a beanie, and maybe a couple of other friends and mail them out to them in California. And also one for myself, possibly. I want to learn how to make beanies. And then from there, the world is mine. Once I can make a beanie, Lord knows I can make all kind of other stuff probably because there's a lot of things I want to make. I also want to start and I've been saying this for a while too. I want to learn how to do pottery. I want to learn how to do pottery. I've done it a couple of times. I don't even know if I'm sure I have it here possibly somewhere. When you do pottery, of course, you make the little, it almost looks like a, like a cigarette, like an ashtray, the little circular dish kind of thing. I think I have that somewhere. But I think I've made two things with pottery and I just loved it. You just get your hands all dirty, you get to make different things. And there is a beauty and a naturalness about the things you make in pottery that is just absolutely just it does something to my spirit. It does something to my spirit. It's not this mass produced, I can buy it on Amazon and everybody and their mama got it, and everybody and their mama, it all looks the same. There's like no personable, like I want to be able to make my own plates. Okay. I want to do pottery and make my own little imperfect plate dishware. That's what I want to do. And my own mugs. I would love to make some mugs. Okay. So I got things I'm trying to do. And again, these things are not money related. I ultimately just had to figure out, how do I take this pressure off, you know, of existing in a culture, a very real culture where money is king. Money is king. Okay. We need it for all kinds of things. You're not going to get too far unless you have money. And I'm honestly just I'm sick of that pressure. Every single month I face and we all do. All right? Every single month I face pressure, um because, not that this is any secret, but please know that Brown Girl Self Care is not a $1 billion brand. It's not a $1 million brand. It's not $100,000 a year brand. Okay, so I am still in the thick of things as I navigate this journey of trying to build this out. Um, of still living basically, even though I'm not in a 9 to 5, still living basically paycheck to paycheck. The main way I make income is through the podcast. That's the main way that I make income. And if people book coaching sessions with me, I make money there as well. But that's the main thing. And I've thought about selling things because I know that I could, but there is nothing right now, minus a few things that I have top of mind. There's not. I don't want to just sell stuff. See, this is probably the problem. This is probably why I'm not making thousands of dollars a month. I'm gonna be very real with you. I don't just want to sell stuff just to sell it. I don't want to just offer you something just to be like, oh, buy this. I want to have care and intention behind the things that I bring to the Brown Girl Self Care community, which is why to be quite truthful, I've not made as much money as I could, even with the podcast. When you are a podcaster, this is a very small side note. When you're a podcaster or a content creator, and you build your brand up to a certain level, you're going to have opportunities to have your, in my case, podcast sponsored, where you do host reads, ads, right? If you listen to the podcast, you've heard me saying this episode is brought to you by, right now, I'm sponsored by Progressive Insurance, and I use Progressive Insurance and have for several years, which is why I agreed to be a read for them. Who else am I sponsoring right now? I forget the other two sponsors, but um I don't want to talk about something or offer something that I ain't feeling. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. That's just not in me to do that. I don't like it when influencers, celebrities, uh whatever, push products that, number one, they ain't never used a day in their life, or number two, they don't like it, but because the money is good, the money is money, and they push it. They push it. I don't want to do that. I just don't. I just don't. The way my integrity is just like a big part of like my value system, I just don't have the capacity to do that. I really, really don't. I don't feel comfortable. It feels dishonest to promote something that I've never used. Or even if you've never used it, that's fine. If at least you're like, yeah, I've read up on it and I like what they stand for. I like what they're offering. I like the way they do XYZ. I'll offer something like that, but I have done my homework to the best of my abilities. I'm never going to just push something. I have 3 offers in my inbox right now that I'm going to decline. I'm not going to say the names of the brands, but when I did my research, I was like, this is not something that I would use or have any interest in, so I'm not going to promote it. And I've missed out on thousands of dollars doing that. I really have. And some part, and there's a small part of me that wishes that maybe I could be that way, because I know that financially I would be better off than I am right now. Because it's like, make it make sense, girl. Get that money, get that bag, get that bread, get that Skrilla, get that shmoney, right? Why not? People probably think I'm so stupid, or people probably think that I just, like, I am so dumb. Like, why not get the money, girl? Why are you making it so hard? Why are you resisting money? And it's not that, it's just I don't feel comfortable doing that. I just don't. I It does not line up with my core values. It just doesn't. So I just got to stand on that. I'm not going to offer something to you. I'm not going to sell something in this community that I don't believe is of value, is of benefit to you. So that's what it is. So this is integrity. Girl, you still here. Dorita. Dorita is still rocking with me. I appreciate you, Dorita. I appreciate you. Clearing that land is strength training. Yes, you feel me? Clearing that land, girl. I was just as sore as I could be. Um, so yeah, it's integrity. I just can't, I don't have the capacity to do that. I just can't do it. So you won't see, if I'm talking about something in an ad, like I said, this month's sponsor, one of them is Progressive Insurance. They came to me, but I've had them for years. Right now, I currently have Progressive Insurance. So it was a no-brainer because of the interactions I've had with them. They've treated me well. So I don't have anything to complain about. So I was like, sure, why not? But others, I will just leave them on the table. I will walk, I have and I will walk away from money. Now, speaking of money, your girl is trying to get monetized on YouTube, honey. So that could be one income stream, but it takes 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Now, let me tell you a little secret here, okay? I've got like 600 people that have joined me on this journey, and I'm thankful for you. Thank you, sis. I have maybe less than 200. I have less than 200 watch hours. So the money's not money on YouTube yet, honey, because YouTube wants 4,000 watch hours. So if this kind of content is your jam, brown girl self-care, space for black women, join me on this journey, sis. Hit the subscribe button. Watch some videos, even if you just put the video on and you just let it play in the background. You just want some background. Look at me begging for views, begging for watch hours. If you just want some background noise while you're cooking in the kitchen, you want a little key or a little bit of self-care while you're cleaning the house or you're on your drive to work. Well, you can't really watch YouTube while you're driving to work, but you know what I'm talking about. Put on some of these videos I'm going to be popping up here and just let them play. Let them play in the background. You would be doing me a great service. I have to get monetized here. I got to bring in money somehow. And I believe in YouTube. That's why I'm showing up here. I'm not going to do something that I don't believe in because that's a waste of my time. So, we've talked about the three buckets. If you've made it this far and you've subscribed and you've had a good key, but you also resonated with this, let me know what three things, one from each bucket, might make sense for you. Or let me know kind of like what season in life you're in right now. If you're more like, I got to get this bread, I got to get this shmoney, or if you're like, I got to figure out some goals outside of that so I can feel more complete. You know what I'm saying? Because neither journey, neither season is bad. It's just they're just two different lanes currently. You know what I'm saying? So neither one is bad. I'm just in that one that we talked about right now. That's just where I am. So anyway, y'all, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you have an amazing Sunday. Make sure you go and listen to the Brown Girl Self-Care podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Have over 300 episodes, girl, to get you immersed up in this ecosystem. All right. And I will definitely be back for another live video very, very soon. Dorita, if you still here, girl, I appreciate you. Oh, let's see. Your girl is retiring in 8 months. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Ladies listening to the podcast, tune into YouTube. Thank you, Dorita. I sure do appreciate you. You have been here pretty much from start to finish of this live. And you know what? God's going to bless you for it. God's gonna bless you for it. All right. All right, y'all. So yeah, that's it. Happy Sunday, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.